Welcome to the Woman's Connection. I'm Barry Louise Switson, your moderator. The Woman's Connection is a program about events shaping women's lives and helping one gain authentic power on a personal or professional level. So won't you stay tuned? Welcome. With me today is a woman who was at the pinnacle of her career and then the rug fell out from underneath her. And it's all about how she pulled herself back together and what she's on a mission to accomplish in helping you. And I would like to welcome Dr. Leslie Devereaux. Doctor?
Hi, how are you?
Okay,
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you. Glad you could come.
Thank you.
You were a judge at one time.
Yes, for a short period of time.
And then you wound up in jail.
Yes.
All right. What was the cause, but what was the path that led, because you were talking about in your book, enablers and codependency.
Yes.
How did that play a part in your life?
So I think probably what I need to do is first define what codependency and enabling is, which codependency is a major element of enabling, and enabling is when one person participates in, reinforces the negative behavior of another person through a course of continuous rescue conduct. So, you have this messiah complex and you feel like you can be all things to all people and handle everyone's situation. You sort of infuse your life into other people's lives, but you do it to their detriment, and ultimately it becomes to your detriment, and that's what happened to me. So I was really a lot of things before I was a judge. I was a wife, a mother. I have 5 sons that I've raised, all doing well, out of college and starting college. I enjoyed a very good, successful practice as an attorney for over 15 years. And then I transitioned outside of the legal field and outside of law, and I went into, I became a public official in my state, and that took on a whole new dynamic for me. Wasn't really familiar with the landscape of politics, and made some wrong decisions, which I admit. Made some wrong decisions, used poor judgment in helping people. So that's where the enabling came in, trying to help people, and I didn't follow the proper procedures, and so that turned into an investigation, which turned into an indictment, which turned into a trial. And ultimately, unfortunately for me, I ended up having to serve some time.
When you talk about enabling is negative, can you give us an example of that?
There was a time when enabling was just restricted to people who were on drugs or they had addiction in their family. But it has a wider scope, and it's broadened. The definition has broadened over the years to include situations where you may have children who are adults and they are still living at your home at 30. You're still taking care of them. You're still supporting them. They don't go to work. They didn't go to school. You're not helping them. You're hurting them. You're enabling them. It could happen with you and some of your relatives, a sibling who may not have been able to get their lives together. And instead of you helping them in a way that they stand on their own 2 feet, you help by paying their rent, you help by making excuses for their behavior, you help by raising their kids, and ultimately you don't help them, you hurt them.
It sounds like there's a fine line here between enabling and codependent.
Enablers usually are the ones that, like I said, there's a control issue, and so you're always infusing yourself in other people's problems. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're having problems, but you just want to help them, and you're really helping them and hurting them at the same time. Codependency is when both people are being pulled down. So in my case, I was an enabler, but when I really looked at it, I also was a codependent. I just felt that I needed to be all things, in particular to my family, and I didn't realize what it was doing to me. It was draining me. It was pulling me down. So together. So I'm being pulled down at the same time as the person that I am enabling. And that's what happened.
When did you realize that you were I was going to say, wrapped up in this whole cycle.
Right,
Yeah, great word.
It took, really, it really took a lot of self-reflection after everything occurred, because I was always the go-to person. I was always the one that people came to with their problems. So I never thought that I had my own problem. And when everything occurred and I had an opportunity to spend some time to really think about it during my incarceration, and on top of that, I was surrounded by other women who also had some similar traits and characteristics, or we shared the same thing. Even though we came from different backgrounds, a lot of us, we shared some of the same characteristics. Some of them had low self-esteem. I had struggled with that at some point in my life. Some of them just felt the need to defend and take up for people who they know were doing wrong. And when I started really unpacking all of that and really self-reflecting on my behavior and what got me into that place, I realized that it really had to do with me having some of those enabling characteristics.
This is when you were incarcerated.
This was when I was incarcerated that I really started unpacking it.
Was there a catalyst that said, wait a minute, do you want to step back and realize what you were doing? Or was it just a slow progression?
Well, even before I was incarcerated, I mean, this incident happened over 10 years ago now, but I really, from the minute that I found out I was in trouble, I started really, I took a step back. I said, okay, I have some choices here. I can either live or die. You know, mine was a public shame, humiliation, all of that, fall from grace. So it was really tough, and I had to make choices. And so I decided, I said, I've fallen. Do I want to fall flat or do I want to fall forward? Falling flat to me meant that I was just going to stay down. I had already gotten down and I wasn't going to get back up. I wasn't going to learn anything. Falling forward meant that I was going to learn, I was going to grow, and I was going to use this experience to try to help other people. I decided I wanted to live and that I wanted to fail forward. And that's what I did. And that set me on a track of reading all the books I could find, inspirational books, motivational books. And I'm a very spiritual person, so I really got into my favorite book and read it and tried to really understand it. And just a lot of prayer and time alone and reflecting on my life and what was going to be the next path.
Well, I guess your favorite book is the Bible,
yes,
where you started holding prayer sessions in
yes,
jail.
Yes.
How did that turn other women's lives around?
It was very helpful. I was going into a foreign place, a place I had never imagined that I would be, based upon my education and my profession and the life that I was living. And as I said, I started thinking, I had to think about survival. And so my survival instincts kicked in, and I knew, just based upon my own spiritual growth, that prayer was a great mediator, and that if I was going to get these women to understand me and receive me, because it was going to be clear that I was a little different, that I had to use prayer as that mediator to bring them together. I did that, and not only did I do that, I started this whole cycle with words, because I really believe that words have the ability to shape our trajectory, and what we say out of our mouth really determines what we think about who we are. And I started this whole practice and routine of writing down positive affirmations and positive words. Helped the women, and it helped me.
Now, I was going to call you the Post-it lady.
Yeah, that's okay. I do it every day.
You do Post-it. So how did you get Post-its in jail to begin with, to start this whole process and moving, I guess you could say moving the energy around?
That's what I did. Didn't get Post-its in jail. It was you had to be really creative. You were able to get certain things, a pen, and you were able to get paper. And so that they gave you a large legal size paper, and I began writing on the paper. every day I would journal. I started journaling, but then we didn't have vision boards. We didn't have glue. We didn't have a big board. So I had to figure out, I wanted to write just words that strengthened me. And so what I did is I took the yellow legal size paper and I drew a Post-it, because I knew what Post-its were, with my pen. And I would draw little squares and I would write the words down, whatever the word was that for that day, and then I would tear it off. I would tear it off. And we were able to have a little bit of tape, and I would put it on my bed, put it on the walls, and those words, the words that I began to put down, were words that empowered. They weren't words to bring me down. They were words to lift me up. For instance, I wrote some words down. I have a word. Now, this word is sad. We can look at this word in a lot of different ways on my Post-it. But we know that people get sad, but during my sad times, and I was sad. I mean, there were days that I was sad, but I was able to look at that word and turn that word around and say, but I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay sad. What does that mean for me? That's a word that's going to pull me down. So then I began to write words like this word, fearless. I wrote fearless.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And I wrote conqueror. And I wrote success. Those words shifted my energy inside of me. I began to feel that there was hope. Even in a place where most people say it's hopeless, that there was hope. And that I could really start thinking about the good things that happened in my past, everything that I had done that was well, and the hope for the present, and the possibilities for my future. And so using the Post-its helped me really getting in tune with what the possibilities could be for me.
Now, you put them on different colors.
Yeah.
Is there a significance with the colors, or is it just what you had to do?
Well, when I was incarcerated, we just had yellow.
Right.
So I have continued this exercise. If you come to my house, you'll see Post-its all over my wall. And I just like colors. And so it's no particular day. It's just, I might pick up a color and just write out a word. So there's no rhyme or rhythm to me doing this. But the other thing is I wanted to say about when I was incarcerated was that I shared this exercise with the young ladies. Because many of them were hopeless, and some of them couldn't read a full sentence, but they could read a word.
Wow.
They could read a word. And so I would sit down with them and, ask them what their dreams, what their hopes were, and then we'd come up with a word. And we'd write the word down, and then I'd tell them that this is the word that I want you to carry with you for the day. That's what I want you to carry with the day. And they were never negative words. They were words that empowered and inspired.
How did the women react? Okay, I was going to say, how did the women react? That's one question. But how did the officers who were in charge of everybody react to all of this? Did that change them also?
Well, so let me talk about the positive. The women, they really were drawn towards me. I mean, it really was a blessing. They were drawn towards the words. They were drawn towards my positive talking. They were inspired. Some of them actually began going home. And so the ones that were still there would say, oh, just go talk to, they called me Miss Leslie. Go talk to Miss Leslie, because every time we go talk to her, somebody goes home. And so it really and I don't know if that was necessarily true. However, I was glad that they were using it in a positive light. It was a little bit challenging with the officers, the correction officers, because I don't think that they were there necessarily to rehabilitate and to help people move forward in their lives. So sometimes we were stopped, not necessarily with our exercise with the Post-its, but if we were in a prayer circle, they would stop us in the middle and tell us not to do it. And sometimes they would say things like, oh, you're going to come back, so I don't know why you're praying. So we got a lot of that. But I always said to the ladies that those are the things that you have to, those are the words that you don't want to receive. So if you listen to what other people say or think about you, then you won't be able to move forward. in your life. That's why it's important for you to reaffirm yourself every day.
Are you in contact with any of the women that you were incarcerated with?
Yeah.
And how have they turned their lives around?
So I will tell you about one woman in particular. I won't use her name for privacy reasons, but yes, I am in contact with a few. But there's one in particular who she has done so well. And I will say, when she was there, that was like her third or fourth time being there. And we connected. For some reason, we connected, and I really believe it had to do with me just always talking positive and helping her with the exercises. When she left, and when I left, we left on the same day. And she went one part of the state, I went to another part. We wrote each other, and then we kind of separated. I didn't hear from her for a while. But through the power of social media, Facebook, we found each other, and she ended up in another state in the South. And I'm happy to report she's doing so well. She has a full-time job. She reunited with her son and with her family, and she's just doing very well. So I was very happy to hear about that. And on days when she's down, because it happens, she'll reach out to me, and I will send her words of encouragement.
You wrote the book, Breaking Codependency, How to Navigate the Traps That Sabotage Your Life.
Yes.
What made you write the book?
You know what? It was a book of self-discovery. It was a book of healing, and it was a book of redemption for me initially. But then I realized that there were a lot of women that were going through the same thing that I was going through, because I didn't write the book until I came home. I started it while I was there, but until I came home, and talking to other women and understanding that they shared some of the same issues that I did regarding codependency and enabling. And it soon became a book of help and a resource for other women who would say to me, this is me. You know, this is who I am. This is exactly what I do with my family. And so in the book, after each chapter, I put reflective questions for people to answer, to see if this is what, because it really wasn't about my story. It was really a book to help other people. So put the questions and ask people to just take time and just reflect on whether or not they felt they fit the profile. If they didn't, great, but they may know someone who fits the profile, and hopefully it'll be a help to that person.
How did your family react to all this and you writing the book?
Mm-hmm. My family has always been very supportive. My mom, who would have come today, but she wasn't feeling well, but they've been very supportive. My sister and I are very close, and I told them what I was doing, let them read the manuscript before. I said, you know, I'm going to have to share some family secrets, and I think all families have them, but I think we have to not be selfish, because we don't know who might read those pages and whose life it might change. And so they were very supportive of me sharing the story in hopes that it'll help somebody else.
And your sons, how did they react?
My sons are well. My sons are doing well. They've always been supportive. They understand, because I told them a long time ago when all of this first occurred, is people make mistakes, and it really isn't the falling down, it's the getting back up. How you get up, shake yourself off, and keep moving. What's going to be the rest of your life? How are you going to live the rest of your life? And so they understood that, and they often tell me that I'm strong and that they admire my strength and how I was able to overcome.
With all your words that you use,
yes,
what are the favorite ones that you posted? Because I know when I'm in a stressful situation,
mm-hmm.
I have Post-its around my apartment, and I put, you know, let go, let God,
yes,
believe, and all kinds of other
right,
things.
right.
And it's just up there to remind me to calm down, to go with the flow,
yes,
which it can be very difficult. So what are your favorite words?
It can. Well, you said one, which is believe. Another is prayer. Another is hope. I have many of them. Yeah, another is trust. Not in my own abilities, but in God's abilities. Safety. I feel like, you know, I'm not alone. I have a family that loves me, so that I don't have to walk this walk alone. And that's what I want women to know when I go and I speak. I do motivational. I like to call it transformational speaking, because motivational is just like a shower. You can get in and you get a quick rush and you go home and it's gone. But when you talk and you speak to people's pain and you speak in a way that tries to transform their thinking about their self and their life, then you know you've made a lasting impact. And so that's what I try to do when I go around and I do my little post-it and pen parties, and I conduct workshops for women.
I was just thinking maybe you should do magnets with your empowering words and put it up on the refrigerator and everything else.
Exactly. Which I put mine up in my walls. I have a prayer room. I put it up there. Put it up in my bedroom, in my bathroom. The wonderful thing about posties is that's what exactly there. You can use them and put them anywhere that you want as a reminder. So the important thing is we write these words, but we have to make sure that we look at the words as well, right?
Very true.
Right, as a reminder, because it just serves as a reminder, because the reality is everything starts with the mindset, and it starts with you. And so I think we have the ability to shift our thinking, and we have the ability to shift our trajectory, which way we're going to go in our lives, when we constantly remind ourselves or fill ourselves with words that are empowering and inspiring.
So you've got the one book that's pretty successful.
Okay.
Do you have any other books in the pipeline?
Yes. I wrote a book called On This Day Remember What God Does Not Want You to Forget. It's a devotional. And the way that book came into fruition is when I got home, I thought, oh, everything's going to be great. You know, everybody's going to accept me. And that didn't happen. There were some people who still didn't want to have anything. I was ostracized, because when you've been in prison, and no matter what your background, no matter how many good things you've done, that is a possibility. And there were days when I was down. And so I started jotting every day. I would just write a scripture. I would read a scripture, and then I would write a meditation, and I began to write it on this day. On this day, remember Leslie. On this day, remember Leslie. And before I knew it, it was on this day, remember what God doesn't want you to forget about who He is to you, and the strength that you have, and the hope that's still there. And it became a book. And I share it when I go to my conferences and everything.
Leslie, you have a lot of Post-its.
Yes.
Do you have any way of organizing them to really empower women?
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to give a few tips on how these Post-its really are transformational. They can be transformational. So the first thing I would say to you is to organize your thoughts. You can use a Post-it to organize your thoughts. I had to do that when I was away. I wanted to just focus on where I was going, what was the next step for me. So in writing on my Post-it and writing down words and writing down sentences and inspirational quotes, it helped me to just get focused. The other thing is Post-its can serve as a reminder. I would sometimes write down something that occurred with my children that made me happy, a happy time, something that made me smile. So they can serve as a reminder when you use the Post-it to just write down the day that your child was born, or the day that they first walked or rode their bike. It helps to keep you focused on a happier time, hope for the future and possibilities, hope for the present and possibilities for the future. The other use of a Post-it and a pen is when you are setting out your vision. Sometimes your vision doesn't come in words. Sometimes it comes with just a doodle. You might not have a word one day, but you have a picture, a thought that's in your mind, and you might want to doodle that down. The other way that Post-its are very useful is in helping you to share your energy with other people. So when I said that I would write my positive words down, I would give them to the ladies. I didn't give them to the ladies at first. I started posting them around my bed. I was sharing that energy, that positive energy. They became curious, and they wanted to do the same thing. And so there are many useful ways that writing down words on your Post-it with your pen that can help you live a more positive and fruitful life.
That is terrific. That is great. I can just see it now. Words by Leslie.
Every day on my Facebook page, Dr. Leslie, Dr. Leslie Devereaux, my Facebook page, I put a empowering word on a post-it, and I put the power of the post-it, power word of today. So today, my power word was trust. And I just talked about how we have to trust individuals that are around us, you know, and what that means for relationships, having that ability to trust. And a lot of times women don't have that ability to trust because of things that have occurred in their lives. And so that was the word today.
Leslie, in the closing moments of the show, what would you like to leave the audience with?
I'd in particular like to leave anybody who has suffered from trauma, tragedy, or setback in their lives, and it doesn't have to be incarceration. You know, you could be on the job 30 years and get fired. You could be married 30 years and find out that you're not married anymore, or something just very bad could happen in your life. That there really is hope, and that we begin that process by really taking a deep look at ourselves. It all starts on the inside. It's an inside job in terms of us turning our situations from negative to positive. And so I would suggest that if you're in a situation where you feel that you've reached adversity has overcome you, that just begin with one word. It only takes one word, one positive word, to really help you to begin to chart out a new trajectory for your life. I started with a word. The word became a sentence. The sentences became paragraphs. And before I knew it, I had a book. And if I can do it, so can you.
That's terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great having you as a guest.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Are you an enabler? Love to hear from you. Please write us here at The Woman's Connection. Bye now.